show, and I'm sorry I'm late for the show. Obviously, I am a little bit late, and I'm sorry about that. So, Christian and Hart live from London, and I'm sorry I'm late. It's 2:10, and the ads must have gone ahead, and we're late for coming on. But here we are on, and my guest today is Max Spiers. So we're just going to bring him on straight away, people. And gosh, isn't it really weird about the differences in the times now with the United States? But that's how it is. Max, are you there? Oh, Max, are you there? Hopefully you're there.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, I can hear you. I was a little bit late, it seems, for the show because I missed the adverts for the studio, but we're connected up. I don't know what's gone on, but never mind. We'll go ahead with the show. What's been happening with you this week? Because we had you on 2 weeks.
It wasn't last week. It was the week before. What's been happening with me? I've just been really studying and putting things together for the conference that's coming up that I'm going to be doing in Poland. So I'm sort of doing an overview to start writing a book, so that they can promote the book with me when I speak in Poland. So I've really been doing not much else apart from research and sort of like trying to go inside of myself and understand things that I didn't know before. Nothing too big to speak of, Christine.
Oh, right, interesting. Well, this week my news is I had a meeting with the BBC Panorama. They're doing.
Did they come to you? Did they come to you to interview you?
Yeah, they did. I met with a chap called Owen Phillips, and we had lunch at a fancy French restaurant in Kew, Ma Cuisine. And I basically told him my life story, the background, how I got into the media, how I ended up working for the News of the World via a boyfriend of mine called Phil Hall. And I basically dated him and got into journalism that way, ended up working for the News of the World. And so we talked about that. And basically he wanted my background as a private investigator. He wanted to, he wants to do a panorama. They've done a lot on the phone hacking. He wants to do a panorama on the connection between the phone hacking and MI6. So that's how the intelligence services brought in the phone hacking via a chap called John Boyle, who I know, who works for Hacklight and some of the ex-MI6 investigations companies. So that's going to be going ahead. But interestingly, he was kind of homing in on the Daily Mail and stuff I'd done for the Daily Mail because I worked for them for over a decade. And also Mahmoud. And interestingly, Mahmoud is a top guy, worked for the News of the World, did investigations. And I was explaining to him how the News of the World and News Corps is a bit like a cult, and the lower journalists and even some of the editors kind of kept out of the higher levels. And that Mazza, it's interesting that he's got court coming up and he's going on trial for perverting the course of justice with Tulisa, the pop singer, that they're throwing him to the wolves. They're intending on throwing Mazza Mahmoud to the wolves. And it's quite interesting because he's a bishop, he was pretty high up, and as Owen was saying, well, he'll probably throw the rest of them to the wolves. And he said, but nobody will listen to him. He'll just be disgruntled. Which
they use them as fall guys, don't they? They'll pick one, especially if they haven't towed the line, and then they'll sort of throw them out, like you said, to the wolves. If because they have all this information. They have anybody who's in any of the higher positions, in any of the religious positions or any of the media positions. If you get to a high position, the elite will always have stuff on you, so that if you don't toe the line, then they can burn you whenever they want to. So that doesn't surprise me that they're doing that to him. I just wonder why him in particular, when there's so many others who've done done those things, why they've picked him.
Yeah, I don't know. It's quite interesting. This chap was saying to me, "Oh, do you know he's a psychopath and this kind of stuff." So they're really going to go to town and call him, mentally ill, and it's a bit.
But maybe he has something to say. Then that's usually the way that it is. If they're trying to assassinate his character, then usually he probably has something to say that's worthwhile hearing.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Yeah, because I did find it shocking that he said, "Oh, he's a clinical psychopath. You do know that, don't you?" And I thought, well, no. he was just really going along with what was going on at the newspaper, which was take people down and target people, target celebrities, target politicians for whatever reason. I would say that the news editor felt like
he was told to do that, though. Somebody had given him orders to do that, though, right?
Not really. He was his own. The celebrities that he took down and the royals he took down, like he took down Sarah Ferguson. That all came from above. He was told to do that. He didn't think of that.
Yeah.
Mostly he targeted his own race, which was Pakistani. He was always coming to me and saying, "Oh, let's do a Paki," and I used to feel quite confused. I didn't know what to say because he's Pakistani.
Yeah.
And then one time when I was going to Sylvester Stallone's wedding with him, he went as the Sheikh and I was supposed to be the Sheikh's wife, and I turned up dressed in leopard print, a leopard print dress, leopard print pillbox hats, and he said, "Oh, go and change that." He said, "What, you look like a scummy Paki lover." And I'm like, what? I was really confused. And he said, "You strike me as being a Paki lover, are you?" And I thought, what? I thought it was kind of so odd, him saying that.
Is interesting. Sometimes they'll put placement in to, like they've done that with Jewish people too, and black people. They'll use somebody from their own race to then subversively bring down their own race. It's happened like many times before. A lot of the high Jewish ones who run the entertainment industry and media in the US aren't in fact Jews in the same way that we think they are. In terms of the religion, they're like, there's the Zionist connection to that. So they will be subversively, sort of subtly bringing down Jews whilst claiming that they are them. So it's not unusual. I've sort of heard this before as well.
Oh, right. Interesting. But it's interesting that they're going to burn him in that way. I suppose, do you think...
What are the charges? What are they going to charge him for?
Well, the charges are perverting the course of justice with Chalisa, the pop singer. He tried to, I think... Oh, I can't really say much about it because it's sub judice. Something about drugs and cocaine and...
Okay.
Yeah, setting her up. Something like that, I think.
Okay.
So... Gosh, I don't know. So that was going on. Also had an interesting thing about our last show. We were talking about Tom Hardy's mother and how I played tarot with her. She came up to me in Waitrose and said, "Oh, Tom's people had heard you doing a podcast about doing the tarot with me." And I thought, well, I don't do podcasts. So I said, "Oh, I don't do podcasts. Was it the radio?" And she said, "Oh, don't worry." She said, "It doesn't matter. I don't care, but Tom's upset." And I felt quite, I felt quite guilty because I thought, well, I didn't remember saying it. And I thought, well, have I said it? And
I think you said one sentence. Saying that you had done a tarot reading or with his mum. I think that's all I remember.
Oh, right. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, well, she's a fascinating woman. I met her in a book club and, she kind of took me under her wing and gave me loads of clothes, really beautiful silk dresses and beautiful designer jackets and designer shoes. And, she's quite interesting. She's like intensely powerful. And I always thought she was the wings behind Tom, and she's very interesting. She's kind of like a Liz Taylor personality with like loads and loads of strength. And I said to her one day about Tom going into politics, and she said, "Oh, that's what he wants to do." So he's like not really aiming at acting. He's sort of, that's what he wants to do, like, heal the planet and sort of go into politics. But that's the route sometimes that people take, isn't it? Hollywood, and then
they do. That's sort of set up that way because what they do is they get they'll put actors in movies in positions of where the public sort of fall in love with them, and then it's much easier for people to then listen to them, or they would feel much more comfortable listening to somebody that they feel has been in positions or roles where they've it's a manipulation technique. And I think like 20 years ago there were people talking about that was going to happen, that they were going to get actors or musicians to then get into politics. That's why DiCaprio just won the Oscar, and I think he tweeted straight away afterwards something to do with something to do with the planet or saving the planet. And I think that he's now an envoy, a peace envoy for I'm not sure which he's running for, but he's sort of a peace envoy. But they're doing it's a reversal again, because these guys who are, if they're saying they're a peace envoy, then they're not that at all. I mean, DiCaprio isn't really for the planet. In truth, he's the other way around. So I mean, I don't want to get personal about these people, but anyway, that for sure, it's much easier for people will fall and listen to actors and actresses and musicians if they're speaking about politics than they will do if they see Suits on television just speaking about it, because they feel like they already know them. Do you know what I'm saying?
I often thought why we here in London don't have the same thing going on, because we don't have charismatic leaders. We don't go for that, do we? I think it would work a lot better if we did start going down that route,
Yeah. It's just the intent of the person. I mean, they're obviously not. I mean, they're getting told what to do and what to say. They're not coming up with these ideas themselves. The actors that are doing it, they're not sitting down and thinking, okay, I want to go and do this. I don't think, and then going and doing it. There's somebody above pulling strings to put them in those positions. It's an orchestrated thing, and they know, like I said before, they know full well that the mass public are going to listen to DiCaprio 10,000 times more than they would listen to John Smith in a suit who we don't know, who just looks like another clone of another guy we'd seen on the news the other day before. People are far more likely to listen to and follow somebody they've been watching on TV and movies for 20 years.
It's interesting. Yeah. As long as they're working for the good side. I mean, I don't know about DiCaprio. Is he a good guy? He's certainly good looking.
I don't want to call on what he is and what he isn't. I don't think it's my position to do that. But I can say that winning an Oscar anyway. If you win the Oscar statue, is symbolic of Osiris. That's what Oscar is Osiris, and then the car at the end is like the serpent energy, the Kundalini energy. So when you win one of those, it means that you are giving like allegiance to a certain elite way of thinking. The elite way of thinking. You don't just get to win one, and as soon as you do, you sort of your position of power rises very quickly. I'm being very careful as to not to say if someone's good or bad, because I don't know. But I'm just looking as an overview that generally, if you are in a position where you are in movies and television or entertainment, you're in that sort of on that sort of level, you're probably not working for the best interests of everybody. I don't know. What do you think, Christine?
I don't know. I thought it was interesting that everyone in the audience, when he got the award, was more or less bowing to him. He seemed like somebody.
His name DiCaprio means Leo of Caprice. There's an island off Italy called Caprice, and he's tight with De Niro and Scorsese, and Scorsese was he was, before Jim Carrey, he was one of the high priests of the one of the Set churches, or Temple of Set, or Church of Satan in Hollywood. So De Niro is connected to the Roman Nero bloodline. Caprice, that is connected to. They're all Roman. They're all descendants from Roman bloodlines. This particular Roman bloodline, which aren't there. I mean, they aren't that. They're out for themselves, essentially. They're out for they're trying to maintain the master-slave 3D reality under the guise of saying they're saving the planet. That crew, that particular group, are all they're descended from the Habsburg bloodline, which is probably one of the strongest bloodlines of the Holy Roman Empire. So if anyone wants to look up the Habsburgs, you'll find out that Scorsese, De Niro, DiCaprio, and a number of others are all connected to that line.
Oh. Are they Catholic?
Well, it depends what you think Catholic really is. Catholic is really like female deity worship. It's if you look at the first three letters of Catholic, it's cat, right? So it's worshipping of the dark Egyptian goddess. So Catholic in the sense of the way that there's layers of all the religions are layered. So what the masses are told what Catholicism is not really what Catholicism is. It's an Egyptian mystery school religion, in truth. So are they Catholic? Yes, but they know in the truest sense, in the sense of, in the core, the real sense of it. Not like I said, the masses get told the story of Mary and that story, and then as the higher up you go in the initiation, the more the truth you get told about what the modern day religions are about.
Oh, interesting. I was listening to somebody said about James Casbolt sharing about Odin on one of the basis thing. I was listening to it last night. I do think he got confused and went off on one, but it's interesting, the Odin thing. He said Odin was Jesus Christ. I don't know if that's true.
No, Odin was the father. So the son, Thor, would be Christ. Would be the conceptually Christ. So you've got it's the same principle with Osiris and Horus. It's like so Horus is Osiris reborn, and then Tammuz, which is the other son, and Christ would be the other. They're all the same. Thor is another one. They're the same, and they all have their opposing dark one, and and then the female deity, I guess for Christ would be Mary, and then for the female deity for Osiris and Horus would be Isis. For Tammuz, it would be Semiramis, and also Dionysus is also another sort of Christ figure. Interesting that we're doing this recording on the spring equinox, which is all those characters were betrayed and then reborn on this day. So up to this point, up until yesterday, there was betrayal, and then on the spring equinox is this sort of a rebirth and of all those characters, but they're all the same thing. And you could align it with the sun. It sort of all aligns with the sun as well. The way the sun goes around, like on this day now, it's the day with equal amount of hours of light and dark. So you have exactly 12 hours of light and exactly 12 hours of dark. And so the birth would be the winter solstice, and then the equinox would be the death and then the rebirth. And then the summer solstice, which would be June 21st, June 22nd, would then be the ascension point, where then they leave and then ascend to a higher dimension. But definitely all these characters are the same, based on the same one. There's been a lot of mixing and matching and messing around with it, though. They sort of sometimes switch them up to make sure people don't get it too right. but essentially, so going back to that, no, Odin would be the father. Odin would be representative of like kind of God the Father, and then Thor would be his son in human form. I suppose.
Why is it all mixed up?
Why? Because if they've mixed it up on purpose, because they don't want you to know exactly what is going on. Because if we all knew exactly how these cycles work, this ties into life cycles and the 20-year cycles that we were talking about before. How everything loops and how time isn't, time doesn't exist anyway. But in 3D, it's cyclical, so it loops around every 20 years. If the masses understood how it actually worked, we'd be more in control. We'd have an understanding of how and when and where to do things. I'm not sure if I gave you that analogy before, but the analogy is that it's sort of like a perfect 3D video game, and the elite have got the rules and the book, and they've got all the codes and the cheats for the book, and then the mass or the goyim are then thrown out and left without anything, and don't know how the rules work of the game. Now, if we did, and if we knew that if you do certain things on certain times, and if we knew exactly how and when and where to do things, then we would be more empowered. And the whole point of this is to take away the power from the masses, so that the tiny elite can have everything that they want to have. For one person to have £1 billion, it means on the other side of the scale, you have an approximation of maybe 100,000 people have to live in poverty and suffering. So it has to balance out. You can't have everybody having that kind of money in 3D, because it's a balance. You understanding what, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's interesting about I think we were talking last time about creativity. I mean, I used to have a fantastic imagination at school, and I thought I was going to write, and I have been published, yes, but not novels in the way. And I was watching that lovely Jean Le Carre spy thing that's on TV at the moment. It's called The Night Manager. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden I burst into tears, and my son said, "Oh, what are you crying for?" And because he was busy playing, he doesn't like that kind of thing. And he said, "What are you crying?" I said, I wanted to do that. I wanted to write like that. And he said, "You're just not good enough. You're not up to that, are you?" And it's like, I felt, I don't know, that something, I mean, almost like something's gone on, like some kind of creative energy is being grabbed out of somewhere. Do you know what I mean? I felt that.
Interesting. I saw an interview with Roseanne Barr, who's a very interesting character as well. She's been through, she openly talks about going through Project Monarch, and she supported Kathy O'Brien when Kathy O'Brien first came out and started speaking about that all those years ago, I think in the late 90s. And then Ted Gunderson, the FBI, the LA head of the FBI, I think, I'm not sure which unit he was head of, but I know now that Gunderson wasn't good. I know a lot of people think that he is and was, but he wasn't. But Roseanne Barr was talking about, and this was on a mainstream interview, how, and it sort of ties back into the phone hacking thing that you were talking about as well, that they have the ability through, so the elites, I'm calling them the elites, the different factions throughout the world, they have their top hybrid sort of remote viewers and hybrid spies. So they don't have to hack your phone to get information. And Roseanne was saying how she was able to, that people were stealing her ideas from her head when she was asleep.
Right.
And so that definitely can be done. And they have a combination of technology and psychic ability. So they've sort of rounded that one off, and they have that perfected.
That's interesting. You know, yeah. I wrote a story based on my life and about the affair I had with the head of the real IRA. I won't say his name. And all of a sudden a book by Helen Fielding, who wrote Bridget Jones' Diary. She had a book come out, I can't remember the title of it, but it was all about an orphan who ended up working for the Sunday Times, who ended up having a love affair with the head of Al-Qaeda. And it was like, I went mad. I was so angry because my book was already doing the rounds, and I had an agent at the time, and I phoned up her agent and said, you know, she's stolen, actually not even my idea, but it's my life story. And he then, Dylan Aitken then ran my agent and said to him, you know, he was cross with me, knew I worked for the News of the World. And then my agent, which is a guy from Peter Fraser's Dunlop, pulled the plug on me and pulled the plug on the book. So, yeah.
So sorry, I missed that. So they sort of cut you off? They stopped it? Or?
Yeah, they cut me off. I mean, basically this guy, I won't say his name, but it was a top agent from Peter Fraser's Dunlop. He's now moved to United Agents. He was dealing with my book. He picked it up, and it was written about, you know, this love affair I had with the head of the Real IRA. Yes. And he said, oh, it's great. And I was in Belfast working for the Sunday Times at the time, and he flew out from London to Dublin, and he met me. We had dinner, and he said, your book's fantastic. He said, you're going to be a great thriller writer. He said, you're excited? He said, because I'm going to mentor you. And I'm like, yeah, I'm excited. And so he worked with me for the following 6 years on this particular book, and I was quite excited about it. And then suddenly Bridget Jones, the Helen Fielding who wrote Bridget Jones' Diary, a book came out about a woman who worked for the Sunday Times. She used to be an orphan, and she had a love affair with the leader of Al-Qaeda. And that's what the whole book was about. And it came out. I couldn't believe it when I read it. And I spoke to my agent, and he said, oh, don't do anything about it. Don't do anything about it. And I said, this is my book. There's no way that you're going to sell my book to a publisher when that's just come out. And I rang Dylan Aitken, who's her agent, and I said, you know, she stole my ideas. And he said, you can't say that because stories circulate. And I said, I can, because it's my actual life and I've lived it. So I said, where did she get the story from? And he said, well, she got it from someone in the private investigations industry. So I said, well, that's the industry I come from, and everybody knows my story. And I said, and next thing, he rang my agent, and my agent dropped me, just cut me off. 6 years he worked on the book with me, putting in work, and he just dropped me.
Yeah, it sounds like they totally stole it from you. Yeah, it does sound like that. They have channelers. They have the best channelers working for them. And so I think we talked about before, they have to sort of tell you what they're doing. It's a way for them to get around karma. They have to tell it's sort of like a loophole. They have to tell you what they're doing before they do it. Otherwise, and then if you don't pick it up, then, you know, more for you. That means you. So they can say they told you, and then you didn't do anything about it. But they have channelers where they will put out the information, and they'll put out people's stories through video games and through television and movies. But what they'll do in them is there is definitely a light side, if we're going to use that term, quote unquote light. There's a light side working from within the entertainment industry, which is counteracting the dark with their movies. So the dark will maybe put a movie out with a certain character in it, and then portray that character as negative and maybe cowardly or whatever, and then maybe another studio will put out a movie using a similar archetype in that movie, but then putting it in the correct way. So there's like a battle in the entertainment industry within Hollywood, because they know that, I mean, Hollywood comes from the word holy wood, and it's basically a magic wand. So that, and it's the wand of illusion. So them, I think we talked about before, knowing that the subconscious then creates the physical reality around us. If you can have if you can get enough people to believe in a story that's put out, it doesn't matter if they think it's fantasy or not, because the conscious mind is picking up the outside, the sort of like the surface story, and then the subconscious is picking up what the true message is of what they're trying to put out. And so there's countering going on. So one movie will come out and say 100 million people watch the movie, and then that's embedded into the subconscious, and then slowly those 100 million people who've watched the movie will, without knowing it, start manifesting the parts of the movie or bits and pieces, clips of the movie into real life. So to counter that, other studios will put a movie out which will switch it up and put it the other way around to try and sway. It's all about taking, it's like I said, it's about using the masses to create, because they can't create, and there isn't any better, there's no other better way, apart from perhaps music, than movies to create the reality. This because so many people it's a universal thing. It's the only thing that everybody from every country watches or gets involved in. You know, a movie star, you can be said that, you know, in whatever country will be known in a country that's 10,000 miles away, or known in 500 countries across the planet. So embedding that way is the most efficient way to create a false reality. I'm just trying to make a point, showing that within the studios there is also a light group that is trying to stop what's going on as well. Does that making sense to you?
Yeah, it's interesting. So have the rest of us had our creativity? I just felt when I was watching the show that I'd had my creativity. I don't if you mean the masses have had it. I felt that mine had been, but then I had Monarch done on me at my Vatican Run orphanage. So, you know, maybe it was taken away there, but I just felt almost like I was in disabled calipers, and someone, as I was watching it, and I got that feeling when I was watching that Seth MacFarlane guy, almost like, yeah, we've had it sort of taken.
Drained. There's because they've sort of drained. I mean, but the thing is, you can always replenish it. I mean, the human beings that are here, we have a self-sustained core. It's just they have, because of the mentality of this particular consciousness, this vampiric consciousness on this planet, they will drain and drain and drain and drain until the very last point, until there's almost nothing left. They don't want everyone to die. They don't, because they would have no way to create after that. So, but they do sort of take just until the last drop, and then leave it, and then it replenishes itself. There has to be a period of time when we then regenerate again, and then they use it again. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine as well, and I was thinking about the global population and how many people we're told are on the planet. And so we're told there's I think just over 7 billion people on the planet. And I've been questioning if that's a correct amount, if that really is the amount of people on the planet. Because you drive across America, and there's just so much space where there is literally nothing at all. And I think the population of America is something like 300 million, close to 300 million, 350, something like that, I think. And just a thought, just been questioning really what the truth is about the actual global population. And there are certainly a number of empty vessels walking around on this planet who are just there as sort of chess pieces to move particular people who they want to manipulate into certain positions. And sorry, I'm going off on a tangent. My mind's just going off on a tangent. But the eyes always kind of give that away, sort of like dead, empty eyes. But they're, cloning is very real. And I don't know why people would think, that cloning wouldn't be real if you can clone a sheep, which they've said that you can clone a sheep, and that's been done, and it's the exact same principle. Why would people wouldn't think that humans are being cloned as well? Anyway, like cloned beings don't have that core central creative ability. They're just there as like pawns or chess pieces, like I said, just to manipulate and move certain people around in certain spots. But creative energy, yeah, I mean, it seems to me like it's lacking at the moment. I mean, we're repeating the same thing over again. There's no new music. Any of the new music that comes out, they're using loops and the same even riffs as they did 20, 30, 40 years ago. And any of the raw, real, like new creative music doesn't ever hit mainstream. It's repressed. Because I think when human beings hear real raw creativity in music or in any of the artistic fields, it inspires them to then go on and create themselves. And they definitely don't want that to happen. So the music industry and the entertainment industry has become more and more and more digitized. And digitized is analog and binary concepts, and that is non-creative. That's ritualistic, and rituals are, there's nothing wrong with rituals because they can be very grounding, and and we all do. Everybody does rituals every day. I mean, everyone brushes their teeth, puts their socks on or whatever, and or has coffee, whatever. It's a ritual, and it can be very grounding. But what ritual does do is stunt explosive creativity and fresh new ideas. It sort of stops it, and so there is a very concerted effort to stunt any raw creativity from people, and the perfect way to do that would be to introduce digitize everything, because like I said, it's analog and it's repetitive. It's repetitive rather than heart creation. So they want to no,
that's I'm getting a bell moment now, because actually there's nothing on TV anymore.
Yes.
There's nothing on TV that has that explosive heart-centered creativity. And watching that Le Carre thing, John Le Carre, of course, he's wrote his stuff decades ago. It's got it in it. I mean, literally, I was watching it and I felt myself be completely and utterly inspired. It literally tripped me off the settee because it was true creativity and you could feel it. And it's just been sucked away. It's been sucked away, isn't it? And I haven't got access to that. I used to have it and I don't have it anymore, and I kind of feel dead.
What? You can have it again.
How's that then?
It would be about reconnecting with self. Nothing ever really disappears. Nothing's ever really gone. It only has the illusion of being gone. There's never really any separation from anything to anyone. It's only the illusion of separation. So anything that you ever have once had, you can always have again. It's just you only think that you don't have it. I don't mean to get too esoteric with you on that one. So the question is, how would you get it back again?
Yeah, is it linked with, you were saying about...
people get writer's block, don't they? And then creative block when they're doing things, and they think, I can't think of anything anymore, I can't paint anymore, I can't do it. And there could be a number of reasons for it. One could be that if you're going in the right direction, I mean, anybody who has high talent, that has the possibility or potential to change the world for the better, which essentially means inspiring others. If you inspire others in a real way, in a real raw way, by showing that you are doing it, people get inspired very quickly. If somebody sees somebody doing something that is you know, even if it's small, something that is different, something that is different, then that inspires people to do it. So they watch people, and they know, everybody is tracked from birth through sound, and they know, they have all the documents and all the they have full understanding of who we were before we were this person now. So all the people who've done things in other lives are known and tracked in this lifetime. So that's where the targeted individual thing comes from. The people who are targeted are not randomly targeted. They're not like, okay, we're going to go through a book and we're going to phone book and pick this guy and we're going to target this guy. People who are targeted because they are a threat to the system that's put in place at the moment. So then to keep their life in chaos would be a way to stop them from being able to perhaps complete the mission or the reason that they came here in the first place. So if somebody who if somebody starts to get on the right track and starts to create and do the thing that they're supposed to do, then they will maybe step in using so many different ways that they can do to block. They can sort of inject different people into their lives that will take them onto a tangent and away from what they're doing. They can use electronic equipment to do that. Anybody who starts to then if you continue and you start to thrive and get bigger that way, then they will then often offer deals so that they want you to sell out, and then offer you material things, so the goods. And it's the ones that haven't sold out that are the biggest threat to this matrix system that is crumbling as we speak at the moment. And the ones that are trying to hold it together are sort of panicking at the moment because there isn't anything they can do about it coming apart. It is going to this system of control is going to come apart, but they want to be able to implement their new system before we realize that we've all been duped our whole lives. So there's a window of opportunity in between the collapsing of the old and the building and the implementation of the new, where we can go, hey, stop, this doesn't we don't need to continue this anymore. And literally the power is in all of our hands. It's not theirs. That's why they're scared. They live in fear vibration. They live in fear vibration all the time. You don't need to control. If anybody who has the need to control others is in a fear state. If you have to control somebody else, you're in a fear state, and they essentially are in constantly. If you have to surveil somebody, if you have to put cameras up, then you're frightened of something, aren't you? It would seem if you're watching people all the time, it means you're scared, and the amount of cameras that are up everywhere is an indication of their increasing fear that they are going to lose the power that they've had for so many thousands of years. They don't want to give up the power they've had. They don't want to give up the lifestyles that they've had, incarnating over and over and over again into like lavish lives. So this window that's going to open, and it's sort of pretty close now because the old system is definitely collapsing. They want to try, like I said, implement their new system as fast as possible.
It's interesting. As you were saying that, I was thinking that the John Le Carre thing last night. Well, it's recurring. It's on the BBC. They're playing it. He covered those various higher aspects. Like there was one part where the gun dealer, there's an arms dealer in it called Richard Roper, and Roper says the key to being. He's talking to the